Which tools do you use to tutor online effectively and to get the most out of your sessions with your students? In this video, I'm going to take you through some of the things that I use to try to help my students as best possible and the techniques and strategies that I'm using to grow my business. So the first thing that I use in my sessions, one of the most important things, is my tablet here. It's a bit bashed and battered now because I've been using it for several years. But this is from Huion. I don't have any affiliation with them, but it's cheaper than Wacom, and it's got about an A4 size there, and I'm able to draw on the screen and on my sessions with this and a pen and this little manky old glove now that's kind of struggling to need to replace that. But this is well worn. I use this all the time. I couldn't do my sessions without it. I was speaking to someone recently who was using just a normal whiteboard and writing and showing on the screen. And I think that this, even though it's a bit of an investment, can take your sessions to the next level because you're able to draw on the screen and on student work and things like that. So I'm going to take you through my kind of workflow and what I would do in your average session. So what I can do on Zoom, so I do all of my sessions on Zoom, is I can actually open up a whiteboard. And this can be shared with the students so that they don't have to take as many notes if they don't want to, or they can take notes with the things that I kind of highlight as the key ideas. But essentially, this tablet would allow me to draw on here. So instead of using the mouse, if this is me using the mouse and trying to write, it's a lot more difficult than using this. So I might do some work on Pythagoras, like that. It's got some basic tools, different colors and things like that. I don't worry too much about the tooling so much as being able to write down some of my thoughts and talk about some of the things that we're doing in class. So just to give that little bit of extra visual for the students, and this can be shared after the session with the students if you wish. So this is like an unlimited canvas, so you can scroll around this and build it up as much as you want. And I just think having that extra level of professionalism, I would say, like, because you're providing students with a better service in terms of the notes that you're talking about can be shared afterwards very easily, and that's giving them some stuff to take away and to go and work on, as opposed to us just talking to each other and then after the session they forget most of what we've done and it's not as effective. Okay, so that's the whiteboard. I like that as a strategy to use. I also primarily share my screen. So I can share my screen here, and if I just minimize this a little bit. So this is my website that I use in virtually every session with my students. I encourage them to subscribe, and that's a bit of a bonus, but most of my tutees are subscribers to the app. So I can go onto a students section, and it's got all of the GCSE grades along the top here. So I might pick, let's say, grade 4 and Pythagoras, and it will create unlimited questions on here. So I would be doing something like working through this question, adding this information on with the students. AC is 77, and then I would be talking to them about how they would do this. So they usually come up with their formula, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I'm using the annotate function here. So in Zoom, there's annotate, and the students can see this screen. And just like the whiteboard as well, I forgot to mention, they can write on the screen as well. So you can be having a back and forth if they've got a drawing tablet. Some of them just use their finger on their iPad or whatever. So they can interact with you in a slightly more dynamic way, and we would be talking about their thoughts. And you can look on my YouTube channel about how I kind of do this. I usually let them do all of their mistakes, and then I will be using the calculator to support us in the sessions. So that leads me on to the next one, which is the emulator from Casio. they're having a few issues online at the moment, so this isn't the one that I recommend. I actually use this calculator the most. This is the FX991EX from Casio. This is the best one. If you can't find that, the CW, which is the newer model, but I don't think it's as good, that is another calculator that I recommend for every single student because it has so many features on here that I can demonstrate with the students. So I would be doing something like a squared plus x squared, which is the thing I'm trying to find, and then equals c squared. So you can press the solve button, shift solve. A, I want 77, C, 85, and solve for x, and I get the answer of 36. So this calculator is actually able to solve all of the students' equations. So in the GCSE, we have 2 papers that are calculator papers and 1 that is not. But in IGCSE, where a lot of my students are international, then they have 2 papers, both of them are calculator papers. So we would be doing our working out. I encourage the students to get the answer first, B equals 36, and then we can go through and see if their working out is correct. So we would be doing 5929 plus b squared, and then 85 squared, 7225. We can subtract the 5929 and then take the square root of the previous answer, and we get our 36. So even if you don't tutor maths, the point is that we are working through a solution on the screen that they can see. And then for my app, if you do tutor maths, then you can come in here, type in 36, check the answer, and it knows if that's correct or not. And just a very quick aside, because I'll do a separate video on this, I've created machine learning within this that will tell the students their GCSE grade for each individual topic. So we just did some Pythagoras there. This is grade 9 because I got 100% in that particular topic, which is the blue line. And then the yellow line is the spaced repetition. So as the students start to forget that over time, like this probability sum, I haven't done that for 114 days. So that has faded. And then as you go in and do the topic again, it will go back out like I just did there, the yellow one, 0 days. So that's at the same level as the blue one. But I've done that so many times now that will start to fade a little bit more slowly over time. So the app is kind of telling the students, right, you need to go and do some parallel and perpendicular lines because it's been a couple of weeks and it's starting to fade. So if you want to have a look at the app, fine, but I'm just demonstrating here that we can be writing on a web page. I do a lot of things like this, where students you can share take control of your computer. That might sound a bit scary to you, but you can grant them access just for this one session to control your mouse, and then they can be doing this coloring in by taking control of your computer. So you can say, all right, you color it in, and then as soon as they leave the Zoom, they're taken off the control. So that's another feature of the Zoom that I like. I don't use that very often, but that can be pretty nice. And essentially, once they've completed their session in Zoom, I will be, if I just stop sharing for a second, this could be like their test that they've taken screenshots of and sent to you and things like that. So I use the Annotate a lot. If I stop sharing and then end the Zoom, what happens now is that I've set it up so that it automatically takes a transcript of the session. So you want to get permission from your so I was just talking to my wife just before then. So this is the transcript of the session, and I will download that and save that onto my computer. Okay, and the reason that I do that, and I will go into this a lot more in another video because this is a huge topic, but I use my second brain. This is a concept from Tiago Forte, if you're interested, where it's too much to hold everything in my head of what I've done in the sessions, what the students did well, and everything like that. So the transcript is an electronic log of what we've done, and then I use Obsidian and a framework that I'll talk about to kind of hold all of this together. So what does that look like in my second brain here? This might look a little bit complicated, but this is all of the connections between the different topics, my research and everything like that. That might look overwhelming at the moment, but you literally just start with one file, and the AI that I will teach you about can make the links and keep everything on your computer. So the transcript comes onto the computer, and then it will ingest that transcript in my session. So I'm just going to look for a tutoring session here, an old one. I've got permission for this. So the AI has taken that transcript of our session, and it's summarized it here for the topics that I've covered, what we talked about. We did a bit of bid maths and prime factor decomposition. Again, if you don't tutor maths, don't worry, but this will be for you personally. Misconceptions and things to watch out for, things to do for next session, and then some calculator references. And then I asked the AI to summarize it and say how this applies to me, like how does this help me? And as part of my business, it's saying, have a look at dyscalculia, like how can we support students with SEND, the percentage multiplier, and it starts to pick up all of these misconceptions across all of my different students so that I can be aware of those and create content around that and all of those sorts of things if that's your thing. If not, you can just go into your second brain with the AI and you can say, right, I've got a session with Lue next. Can you summarize what we've done over the last couple of sessions and then suggest some things that I need to make sure I'm covering? So you're really improving your quality of your sessions because you have this kind of log, and this is all through Zoom. Okay. Now, some of the features of Zoom are paid for. I think I'm not too sure. I paid for the full suite. I used to just do the 40-minute sessions and then restart one, but I don't think it has all of these extra features. So you might want to check that and decide if this is a cost that you want to incur. I think it's about £19 a month or something like that. It might be less, but yeah, I think it is less actually. I think it's about £130 for the year. So you can decide if that's something you want to use. But the transcript is so useful for me because I can actually track all my sessions. And then what I've started to do recently, again, this will be a later video, but my more recent sessions, it will do a parent summary for me. So it will say what we covered in the session, what's going well, some things that they need to be aware of from the session, and some things to practice for next time. So this is now automated and goes via WhatsApp to the parent automatically. I did not start with that. This was an iterative process where I was making sure that everything was perfect before it would go out to parents. So do not be worried about that. That's a long way off. But just creating a summary which you can look at, check, copy, paste into an email or into your WhatsApp or however you communicate with parents can add that extra little icing on the cake. And we're talking about adding value and ways to make your offer that little bit more high level so that you can charge a little bit more. These are the sorts of things that parents give me quite a lot of feedback about, which they enjoy, which they find useful. At first, it sent too much, and they were like, "That's a bit overwhelming." So it's a process where you learn, you train the AI, and it will give you that summary that you can send to parents, and it's now fully automated for me, which is brilliant. So those are the main tools that I use within my sessions. Zoom is the big one. The writing tablet I use every single time without fail, and the transcript and the whiteboard and things like that are also super useful. So I've alluded to my second brain and everything like that. That will be in a video or a series of videos coming soon. So if you're interested in this kind of content, please let me know in the comments below, and yeah, I will try to implement those in future videos. Good luck!